Jyotsna, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. Yeah. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Alina Sheikh, Harish, Morshital. Good evening, Rakshita. Hello. Hello, Alina Sheikh. I'm fine. And how are you? I hope you all enjoying the session still now. Uh, if you guys have any problem in the video or audio, you can just refresh out the page, guys. Yeah. Good evening, Yoshita, Koyal, Sivaram, Bhupesh, good evening, Rashini, Vaibhav. Yes, good evening, everyone. I hope you are enjoying the sessions and you have gained a lot knowledge from this. So, before moving ahead, let's have a quick recap of what we have talked about yesterday. We talked about the functions and the objects part, the how we can pass the parameters and arguments and the functions, and more importantly, like if we are unknown, like how many parameters I have to pass, and the how then we can pass them. Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. And please don't forget to mark your attendance for today. It's over right to the chat and you can mark it from there. Yesterday we had an assignment which consists of the three questions. I have a question. Can we
Mhm.
discuss the last two parts of the question three of assignment?
Okay. I have to check. Can we do it at the end of the session,
Yes, sir.
guys?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's do it
we
at the
can
end of the
start.
session because we have already wasted like 10 minutes. And
Yes.
today I'll be talking about. Sorry, guys. Hi. Good evening. And I hope you guys did practice the assignment questions. Fairly straightforward though. But also, if you guys have doubts, I'll clear them. I'll try to clear them today. Or if it's not possible today, I will clear it tomorrow because tomorrow is the last
So,
session that we have. And we have this time allocated for doubt solving, right? Uh, yeah,
yeah.
Jyotsna.
So we have just two or three doubts. We can discuss it now because
Okay,
it's
okay, okay, okay.
yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Like,
We will discuss it today. By like 8:25. I'll try to finish these
okay,
two
sir.
things that we have today. So what we are going to discuss today is deep copy, shallow copy, and spread operator. So most of you guys might be a little confused, or maybe you are hearing this topics for the first time. But let me tell you, like in these 5 days, 5 sessions that we are having, this is one of the most important topics that we are going to discuss today. It is deep, shallow copy, and spread operator. Very important interview question. Okay. And yeah, so let's start. Okay. I'll just start with defining what it is. Now, you will learn about deep, what is a deep copy, what is a shallow copy, and you will also learn what is by value and by reference. What does these two terms mean? Okay. And also after that you will learn about when JavaScript creates shallow copies and when deep copies, and how to create deep copies and shallow copies of arrays and objects. Okay, so yesterday it was important that you guys were a little familiar with array and objects. Also, no need to worry, we are not using any slice or splice or like all those methods. It is just fairly straightforward. I'll just be console logging simple things, but behind this simple things, how JavaScript works, that is what we are going to discuss today. Okay. So I'm just going to, yeah. And one thing before I forget, okay, what we did yesterday, so we were doing this, right, objects, and we saw the for in loop. So instead of for in loop, you can also do a for off loop. Okay, so there are two types. Okay, you can also do a for off loop. I'll explain it to you guys later. Okay, I'm just giving you a heads up of what we are going to discuss today first, which is the spread and the deep copy. Okay, so now what do I mean by these things? Okay, So in programming, there are two types of copies. Okay, there are two types of copies. The first is called a deep copy, and the second is called a shallow copy. Okay, and if you are not familiar with one of these terms, then don't worry. Like we will learn both of them. Let's start with a deep copy. Okay, so deep copy is uh, what you probably think about when you think about copying something. Okay, so it's a one is to one copy of that thing, like a clone. You know, if you've ever heard about a clone, it's just a direct copy, right? When you create a deep copy, you create a perfect copy of the original. Okay, so you take all the properties from the original and copy them into your new copy. Okay, that's a lot of copy, but if you guys are understanding a bit, I'll just repeat that statement for you. Okay, deep copy is just a one is to one copy. Okay, like a clone, everything the same as the original one. Like if you can imagine this by, when you are writing a paper, and if you don't know something and you want to copy something from your neighbor's paper, you just write everything like pixel perfect, picture perfect, every all the words you are just copied. So that is what a deep copy is. Okay, that is a real life, you won't be doing that here, but yeah, that is what a deep copy is, a perfect copy of the original. Okay, and the copy and the original have the same properties, like, okay, everything you are inheriting from the original copy. Okay, and this is the most important thing to remember: these copies or the things that contain these properties don't are not connected. Okay, they're not connected to each other. By what do I mean this connected is, I will explain it to you with a piece of code. But I'm just telling you, so the deep copy is a one is to one perfect copy of the original. Okay, now what do I mean that these properties are not connected? So any change, okay, any change you make to the original will change only that, the original. It will not change the copy. Okay, and if this is true, then you have created is a deep copy. Okay, so if you have done any changes to the original one, and that won't be reflected in your deep copy. Okay, and if this is what it is true, then you have created a deep copy. Okay, so this was a short description about what a deep copy is. Don't worry, we'll see through the code, but I'll also define the shallow copy for you guys. Okay, so yeah, so now let's talk about the second type, the shallow copy. Okay, shallow copy is basically the opposite of deep copy. Okay, yes, I mean, every copy is still a one is to one copy of the original. So however, in case of shallow copy, the properties of the original, okay, the properties of the original and the copy are connected. Okay, so when you change the original, it will also change the copy. Okay, this is the major difference. So in deep copy, when you change the original, it won't change the copy that you have made. But in shallow copy, so when you change the original, it will also change the copy. Okay, so um, if you change the copy, now this also applies to your copy. Okay, the one you have made. So if you also change the copy, those changes will also change the original. Okay, just keep this in mind. Okay, I'll explain it to you again. It is a one is to one copy of the original. Okay, it is one is to one copy, but if you change the original, the changes will be also seen in the copy, and if you change the copy, the changes will also be seen in the original. Okay, so then when you just change one of these copies, it will also change all other copies and also the original. For example, if you have created like two or three shallow copies, so if you have changed only one of them, then it will change all of it. Okay, all including the original. Simple, simple as that. Okay, now what is you have heard in programming languages that what is value by value and by reference, pass by value, pass by reference, like that. So now in JavaScript, what is by value and by reference? Okay, so the idea that when you change one shallow copy, that will also automatically change all the other shallow copies, right? And also the original. It may seem weird, right? Like it will start making more sense when you understand what is going on under the hood, right? And the idea of by value and copying by reference. Okay. So in programming, there are two ways. Okay, there are two ways to pass. There are two ways to pass or copy stuff, right? So one is by value, and the other is by reference. Okay. So when you pass, okay, when you pass or copy something by value, okay, when you pass or copy something by value, you are creating a copy of it, a deep copy. Okay, I'll repeat it once again. So when you pass or copy something by value, you are creating a deep copy. Okay. When you pass or copy something by reference, you are creating a shallow copy. So in our case, in JavaScript, when you pass something by value, when you pass something by value, you are creating a deep copy. Okay. And in JavaScript, when you pass something by reference, you are creating a shallow copy. Okay, not a new copy or a new clone, you are just creating a shallow copy. So this is what is passed by value and passed by reference in JavaScript. Okay, I'll just give you some examples. So let's take this example over here. Hmm. Now, before taking an example, I'll just tell you guys what might make it easier for you to grasp, okay, these concepts. So, for example, just if you guys have a little trouble of understanding this, I'll just try to make it a little easier. Okay, I'll just tell you a basic idea of how a memory allocation, okay, of how a memory allocation in JavaScript works. Okay, so when you create a new variable, okay, now you remember by our previous sessions, I always try to tell you, okay, we can reduce the memory allocation, or some one person had told, ki, can we remove these variables and just directly console log it? Of course, you can do that. So these things, are very handy when you are, when you are creating a large application and you are using hundreds of variables. So instead of that, you can use 50, half of it. So that will save you a lot of memory. Okay, so it's just, I'm just trying to explain you guys how the memory allocation in JavaScript works. Okay, so let's take a simple example. When you create a new variable, okay, when you create a new variable, JavaScript will allocate a spot. Okay, JavaScript will allocate a spot in memory for it, for the value of that variable. Okay, I'll repeat it again. When you create a new variable, JavaScript will allocate a spot in the memory for it, for the value of the variable. Okay. So what happens when you change the value of that variable? Okay. So when you change the value of that variable, JavaScript will find the correct memory spot. Okay. Now, what do I mean by correct memory spot? The address. You remember the address of that memory. So JavaScript will find the correct memory spot or the address where the value of that variable is stored. Okay, it will find it. Then it will change that value. So what do you mean by this? You have created a variable. Okay, it is stored in a memory location. For example, these are different memory locations. Okay, you have stored the memory. You have stored a spot in this memory location for that variable, for the value of that variable. Okay, now when you go in your code and you remove, you modify that value of that variable, JavaScript goes to this memory again, and it will remove that value and it will replace that value. Okay, so meaning it will change that specific spot or address in the memory. Okay, it will change that specific spot or address in the memory. Okay, so the same happens when you use that variable or when you reference it in your code. So what you we used to see this, right? You create a variable, you put some value, then you remove it and you replace that value with something else, right? So this is how the JavaScript memory allocation works under the hood. Okay, now uh, in that case, JavaScript, if you want to change it again, then JavaScript will again find the correct memory spot where the value of that variable is stored and use it. So okay, so that's how JavaScript allocates, uh, the JavaScript handles how you are changing a value of a variable. Okay, that is how it allocates a memory and it changes the same memory spot. Now, what if when you create a new variable? Okay. Now, now we when we are talking, we were talking only about one variable and we were making changes to that. And in turn, when you have created that one variable, JavaScript also changes the value of that memory spot, right? But what if you have created a new variable now? So when you create a new variable, again, JavaScript allocates yet another memory spot, okay, and stores the new variable. So now, for example, this one was the already memory allocated to a variable. Now JavaScript also has created a new memory allocation for the new variable, right? And the value is stored in here, right? So now you have two more spots in that memory that are allocated for something, right? So what I mean, whatever I have told you guys, let's see it through the code, what we are doing here. I mean, it's very straightforward in code. I mean, when we are coding it, you won't understand what it does, but I've just given you a heads up of how it is allocated, how the memory is allocated. Okay. So let us create my original uh, variable one. Okay, my original variable one equals to um, I am allocated in memory. Okay. Now what we'll do is, so let again, now let my original variable one equals to I have changed. Okay. Now console.log my original variable. You should know the answer to this. I mean, what will be one second. Has already been taken. Oh, that is why. Oh, we do this. Yeah. So what I meant by this here, what I have just simply done here is I have just created a variable that we were talking about. Okay. So I have created a variable. I have assigned this value. Okay. Now to the same variable, I have changed the value, right? So when I console log it, okay, when I console log it, I get the new value. So, in our code it doesn't look like, okay, what have you what I mean, big thing you have done here, you've just changed something, but it is very important for you guys to understand how it has been changed. So here, my original variable one, this is the variable, right? I have given this some value. So what JavaScript does is it takes that variable and it stores in a memory spot. Okay. So some for example, these are our memory spots, different memory spots. It is stored here, and now the value is over here that I am allocated in memory. Now I have, what I've done is I have just changed it. So the value is I have changed. So now I have removed the previous value and I have put in the new value and I've console logged it. So this is how under the hood it works. Okay. Now again, let's see. What we'll do is let, okay, my original variable, instead of one, let's make it two. Okay, equals to I am second variable located in memory. And now what I'll do is copy it and paste it over here like this. Now again, what we have just done here is, as I had told you guys, when you have different variables, right? So you have just created another variable in another memory spot. Okay. So now even if I console log the first one, right, it does not change any values in different memory spots. Here the value is I have changed in this, and in the second one I have this I am second variable allocated in memory. So that's how it works. Okay. This was just a small explanation of how JavaScript works under the hood, how memory is being allocated. So if anyone asks you how memory has been allocated, in for a variable, you can always tell them how this works. Okay. Now, moving on about deep copies and shallow copies. Let's say you decide to copy some variable. Okay, so a deep copy, right? In this case, JavaScript will allocate a new spot. Okay, a new spot in memory and store the value. Okay, a copy of the original value of that new variable there. Okay, so this is the same process as creating a completely new variable. Okay, so what I'm telling you is, in a deep copy, a JavaScript will allocate a new spot in the memory and store the value. If you have this, okay, we have this value over here, okay, in this memory spot. JavaScript will create a new value, a new spot in the memory, and copy of the original value of that new variable there. Okay, so this will be same. So this is the same as creating completely new variable here. Okay, so as a result, now you have two different variables and also two different spots in memory, right? So both these spots are completely independent. Okay, so if you change this, it won't change here. So this is how the deep copy work. Okay, in the memory allocation. Now let's see it with an example. Okay, might make it a little more clear. Okay, so let's say, let my original variable equals to, okay, I am allocated in memory. Okay, now let's create a deep copy. Okay, so let deep copy. Okay, and I will just pass this variable to the deep copy. Okay, so my original variable. Okay, now let's see. Now let's see console.log my original variable. Okay, let's console log it. What do we see? Okay, fairly straightforward. The variable. Okay, I'm just declaring the variable and the value as I am allocated in memory, and I'm console logging it over here. Okay, so the reference, now what is happening here? Okay, what is happening here? Just explain you all the lines. Okay, now the first line is, of course, create a variable and JavaScript allocates a new spot in the memory for it. Okay, as we had discussed here. Now for the second one, now we have created a deep copy of my original variable, right? Now JavaScript has also allocated a memory spot for deep copy, right? Because we have now created a new variable, right? So now, what will happen here after this, right? So we are referencing the my original variable. Now JavaScript finds the correct spot in the memory where the value of my original variable is stored and returns it. Okay, so what we have done here is, again, I'm repeating, we are referencing the my original variable, right? So JavaScript finds the correct spot in the memory, right? Correct spot over here where the value of my original variable, the value over here is I am allocated in memory, right? This is stored over here in this memory and it returns it. Okay. Now let's see what we'll be now we'll be console logging of deep copy. Okay. Yeah. Now see, the value of deep copy is, again, I am allocated in memory. So what I am doing here is I'm just referencing my deep copy. Okay. So now again JavaScript finds the correct spot in memory, right? Where the value of deep copy is stored. Okay, and it returns it. Now you understand by the looks of it, JavaScript is looking for the correct reference, right? The correct reference that you want to pass. Okay. Now let's say, let's do this. Let, okay, yeah, no, not let again. So now I'm just changing my original variable equals to, okay, update for the original. Okay, Now again, console.log um, my original variable. Okay, let's see what happens. Um, Now see again, what we have done here is I have just created, I've just changed the value of my original variable, right? So JavaScript finds the correct spot in memory, right? Where the value of my original variable is stored and changes it. So now the value of it is update for the original, right? So now again, it is I'm just with the code console.log here. I'm just referencing my original variable again. JavaScript finds the correct spot in memory where the value of my original variable is stored, okay, and returns, right? So now when you check here, right, let's see what is the console.log of deep copy. Now again, JavaScript references my deep copy again. It finds the correct spot in memory where the value of my deep copy is stored and returns it. So here, if you see what we have done here, you have two different variables in two different spots, but changing one will not change the other, right? So here we have, in the code in line number 3, I have referenced this variable to deep copy. But when you change this, right, when I just changed my original variable ka value, but it still did not change this value, right, the deep copy value. So this is what a deep copy is. I just in the start of the session I told you, changing of one, it won't change the other, and that is what exactly what is deep copy is. Okay, so whenever you come across an interview question, you don't have to just complicate things. You just have to tell it straightforward that whenever I make a copy of something, it is an original copy. Okay, it is a one-to-one copy and a perfect copy. Okay, and if I change the value of the original, it won't change the value of the other. Okay, it won't change the value of my copy, and that is simply deep copy. Okay, I hope you guys understood this. I'll be going to the shallow copy now.
Sir,
Yeah.
uh, sir, in this code, can we use constant keyword instead of let?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, sir, can you please
I think you
check?
can't use constant, right? So if you remember from my first session, let's see if it does work. I don't think you can see, because what happens here is you have created the original value, right? The value is stored in my original variable, right? And now I have assigned this to a constant deep copy. So when you console log this, right, the original variable, and the console log the deep copy, right, you will get the value. But whenever you try to reinstate the value of my original variable, you can't do it because constants don't let you do that. So that is why if you have ever seen that uh, the const variable declaration is more stricter than let. So let lets you do that, but const doesn't let you do that. Okay, so you can't use a const in this case. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep it as a get now. Okay, and sorry, let, not get. Why did I say get? Okay. So where were we? Okay, we will be now talking about shallow copies, right? So I hope you guys understood what is a deep copy. It is a really important JavaScript interview question. We have just seen it with the string value, a simple string value. I know you guys would be curious about the arrays and objects also. We will be discussing that, but let's first discuss about shallow copies. Okay. Now, as I said, let's say you want to copy some variable, but now you have to create a shallow copy. Okay, so what happens at this moment? Now JavaScript will not allocate a new spot in memory for that copy. Okay, again, JavaScript will not allocate new spot in the memory for that copy. Instead, JavaScript will create a new alias, okay, that's connected to that spot, right? That's connected to the spot in the memory allocated in the origin for the original variable. So I have told you, right? So by reference and by value. So value was the deep copy. The reference is the shallow copy. So instead, JavaScript will create a new reference. It won't create a new memory spot for the new copy. Okay, it will create a reference to this already the spot in the memory allocated for the original variable, right? Again, what is a shallow copy? In shallow copy, it will JavaScript will not allocate new spot in the memory, okay, for that copy. Instead, JavaScript will create a reference to the original variable, okay, to the original variable in the memory spot that is already allocated. So it will create a reference to it, okay. So the result is that when you reference that copy, the JavaScript will find the memory spot allocated. Okay, it will find the memory spot allocated for the original variable and let you do whatever you want with the value stored there. Okay, so remember there is no copy. Okay, but both original and the reference and the copy are connected to the same memory spot. Okay, the same value. Okay, for I'll just confuse all your doubts with this example. Okay, so let's say now in this case I'm just creating an object so that you also get the looks of it, that how it works in an object. Okay, so I'll create an object. Okay, my original variable. Okay, and I'll create an object. So if you guys remember, this is how we used to create an object, and we used to give a key, right? So what I'll be using here is I'll be using here a title. Okay, um the, let's take a book now, everything stores. Okay, and let's take an author. Okay, and let's take the author as author of the book, Stone. Okay, and let's take publisher, maybe publisher. Okay, and the publisher is Hatchet Audio. Okay, so I just created a normal JavaScript object. So it now again, if again I have created an object, right? But I have stored it in a variable. So you can see the variable is this. Okay, and I have created an object over here. So I've stored it in a memory variable. So now what happens when you create a variable? The JavaScript allocates a new spot in the memory for it. Okay, now what we are going to do is let's do one thing. I'm just going to create a shallow copy. Okay, so here I'll define the variable as let's say, yeah, my shallow copy, and I'll just assign this variable, okay, my original variable, to my shallow copy. Okay, sorry, my original variable. Yeah, so this is what I've done. Okay, now let's console log, um, console.log. Okay, my original variable. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, Jyotsna, can you just confirm if it's visible if I do this?
Yes, so it's
This is
visible
visible,
to
right?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I've just console logged over here, the variable that I've created and the object that I had passed. Okay. So this is the value of it. Okay. Now let's do one thing. So now what we have done here is I've just console logged this. Now I'll just console log my shallow copy also. My shallow copy. Okay. Let's console log both of it. So as expected, I had just done this, right. I had just on line 7, I had just declared this variable above, and I just passed it to the my shallow copy. So when I just check the my shallow copy value, okay, it just returns me this value. Now you will see how the my shallow copy is different. Okay, now let's say what I'll do is I will take the my shallow copy object. Okay, now the my shallow copy object, as you can see, this is the second line that we have console logged. It is the my shallow copy variable object, right? So I will try to change the value of the my shallow copy object. Okay, so let's do this. My shallow copy, you remember from the previous examples, you can use a dot notation and you can use the square bracket notation. I hope you guys had read the difference. Okay, in this case we can use both. So VS Code already gives me this, so I'll just um, put in some different value. Okay, let's say book deep work. Okay, deep work, and yeah, my shallow copy again dot author, right? Yeah, let's say author is Ed Catmull, right? And my shallow copy dot publisher. I don't know the publisher now, so let's say random or okay. Now what I have done here is, you had just seen the my shallow copy, right? My shallow copy, we had seen the console log. It was the same as the original variable one, right? Now what I'm going to do is, I've just created the my shallow copy and I have just changed the title, author, and publisher over here. Okay. Now what we will do is, let's let's console log. Okay, let's console log. Let's console log not my shallow copy. Let's say we will console log my original variable. Let's see what we get. Uh, you see the value is changed. Okay, I'll just console log. I'll just comment this thing out. Okay, for you guys, if you guys have any confusion, now you see the value. What I had done is, okay, what I had done here is, I had created a variable, I had created some object properties, I had put it over there. Okay, I put this thing to a new variable called my shallow copy. I console logged it for you guys so you could see the title and everything. Okay, now what I have done is, in the my shallow copy, this variable, okay, where it the previous object is stored, right, the reference, right, I have just changed some properties over there, like title, author, and publisher. Okay, and when I console log my original variable, please pay attention, guys. I'm not console logging the my shallow copy. I'm console logging the my original variable. I can still see the difference, right? I can still see the difference. So this is what a shallow copy is, okay? And I hope it is more clear for you guys what a difference between a deep copy and a shallow copy is. I hope you guys made some note of it. So in deep copy, you are creating a 1:1 copy. Okay, when you make some changes to the original one, the deep copy, the copy that you've made, won't make any difference. Okay, the copy will remain unchanged. Okay, in the shallow copy, when you are making any change to the copy, any of the copies, it will affect all other copies. Okay, so this is what a deep copy and a shallow copy is. Okay, these are some interview questions, because you might, they will give you some code snippets, right? So they will give you these code snippets. Okay, they will give you this, they will give you this. Okay, and they will just tell you ki, okay, now tell me the console log value of this. Okay, tell me the value of this. So you will tell them, okay, the value is the same, title, author, publisher. Then they will ask you, okay, now tell me the value of my shallow copy. Again, you don't have to be confused, because you have just seen your, okay, I've just stored the reference of my original variable to a shallow copy, so the shallow copy value is still not changed. Okay, now what the interviewer will do, he'll do some he'll take the shallow copy and he will change some properties in it. he won't tell you that, okay, now tell me the console log of shallow copy. He, of course, he wants to make it a little difficult, right, for you to get a little confused in this case. So he will tell you, okay, now tell me the value of the original variable. Has it changed? What has changed? Tell me if anything has changed. Okay, so this is what a shallow copy will do. It will change the value of it, right? So this is how it works. Okay, this is what, in an object you can just see how a shallow copy works. Okay, now let's say, let's do again, I mean, let's just continue this thing. If you guys have any doubts, or if you have any use cases, if I do this, if I do that, I'll just cover everything of it, no need to worry. So I'll just console log the shallow copy also for you guys. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, so the shallow copy is the same what we had, all changed. Okay, now let's say, let's change the original one. Okay, let's change the original one. So this one, my original variable. Okay, I'll just do it. I'm just copy pasting it here, guys. Okay, and dot title, or can I just copy paste this? No, okay, let it be. Okay, so I'm just giving some different title of a book, show dog or something, right? And what I'm giving here is author. Okay, it's till night. Okay, night. And here I give, uh, sorry, not publisher, right? Yeah, equals to. Okay, the publisher is, again, sign in. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just changed the original variable. Okay, I've just changed the original variable here, and let's see what we get now. Okay, let's see if we console.log my original variable. The title, the author, and the publisher has changed. Now let's see what we get here. I hope you guys know the answer, but still, if someone is uh, confused, so for them, right? So I hope this is what you expected as the answer. If you did not expect this, by the end of the session, I mean, just like I did yesterday, I will send you some deep copies and shallow copy ka documents. You can just read it on that. I wish I had more time so I could just get in depth for all you guys if you did not understand. But I think, I mean, it was a little straightforward when I just gave you some references of how, what happens in a deep copy, what happens in a shallow copy. Okay, so this was about deep copy and shallow copy. Okay, no, I mean, not the whole topic. I'm just, I mean, at least the definition and the introduction part. I have 10 to 15 minutes more, so I'll just complete some parts of it. I'll just remove this. Okay, now, I've just shown it to you how, in what happens. Now you might have a question that, can we do a shallow copy with a string? Okay, so, and can we do a shallow copy with arrays, right? So what we have done here is we had, in an example, right? We have done a deep copy with a string. You remember, with a string, right? And we have done a shallow copy with the object that we've just seen. Okay, now, where it can be used, where deep copy is being done and where shallow copies are being done, I'll just explain it to you. Okay, but first we can do this. We have, okay, so we have primitive data types, right? So if you have heard about data types, so we have primitive data types, right? So in primitive data types, it comes to numbers, strings, booleans, right? Strings, booleans. So in primitive data types like strings, numbers, booleans, etc., JavaScript always creates deep copies. Okay, please remember, in primitive data types, JavaScript always creates deep copies. So when you create a new variable whose value is one of these data types, okay, and you copy it, you don't have to worry about anything, right? So what I mean by you don't have to worry about anything is, so even every copy has its own spot in the memory, and you can't accidentally change one by changing the other. Just as we saw in case of our objects, right? So we if we are changing something, it was also referencing to the memory spot of the original value, and even that was changing, right? So you don't have to worry about it in the primitive data types. Okay, so in primitive data types, we had seen the string, right? In the string example, uh, I am not doing that again. Okay, I hope you guys understood what I meant. In primitive data types, the deep copy, JavaScript does the deep copy. Okay, just what we saw in the first example in the strings. Okay, now in shallow copies, I'm just doing it just because some people might find it a little difficult with objects. So I'll just do one with the array. Okay, let's say we'll create an array. Let my original array. Okay, now array works in the same way as objects. Okay, so when you create a new array, JavaScript will store it in a specific memory spot. Okay, and if you just create a copy of that array or multiple copies, every copy will be a reference. Okay, every copy will be a reference to this memory location allocated for the original array. Okay, so every copy, you can have multiple copies, you can have 100 copies, or you can have one copy. Okay, every copy will have the reference to this memory location. It won't create a new memory location here, just like in deep copies. Okay, it will create a reference to this memory location and allocate the and just reference and keep a copy of the original one. Okay, original array. So you can change any copy or the original, the change will happen everywhere. Okay, because it has a reference, it does not have a different memory location, right? Just as we talked about it. So I'm just creating a array. Okay, uh, one two, and let's say weird. Okay, but I'm just doing this. Okay, let my shallow shallow copy equals to my original array. Okay, console logging my shallow copy. Okay, guys. I hope you know the output. Fairly straightforward. One, two, three. Because I've just referenced it. Okay. Now I'm going to change some some value. Okay. Let's see. Let's say if we can do something like a little flashback. Okay. I'm just using some methods that we had seen in our previous sessions. So I'll just do something right. Um, my original array. Okay, and I'm putting it in index 2. I'm putting some value. Okay, I'm putting some value, and what we can do here is, okay, my original array dot push. Okay, I hope you guys remember what is push, because I forgot. No, yeah. So push is putting the element at the end of the array, right? I hope I'm right. Yeah. Yeah. So what we have done here is I've just modified it a little bit, and I'll just console log it. Please, guys, you have to practice this a lot. Okay. Everything that we have gone through in these sessions, I'll just console log it and I'll check. Yeah. One second. What happened to 3? Okay. Did I do something? What is this 11? Oh yeah. Sorry, I replaced it. Right. Okay. Oh, I replaced it at 2. But okay. So I've just modified it a little bit, but you get the reference, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just console log the original array, right? So let's see what has happened to the shallow copy. So let's see what has happened to the shallow copy. My shallow copy. The shallow copy was before this thing, right? Let's see if this has changed. It has changed. Okay. So it has changed from this to this, right? So that is what is shallow copy, right? In shallow copy, um, you will see the change if you have changed anywhere in multiple copies or in the original array. Wherever you change, it is referencing it, so the values change everywhere. Okay. Uh, just for you guys to understand it once again, this is the last time. Okay, I'm just doing a little changes to my shallow copy. Okay, so my shallow copy dot pop. Okay, I hope you guys remember. I remember what is pop. It just pops out the last element. Okay, and I'll just push something like, so let's say the value I'll push is uh, before I had pushed false, right? So I'll just push the value 13. Okay, let's just a random number. And now let's check the original array. Let's see what happened. My, no, no, what is it? My original array, right? Let's see if it did pop the last value. So the last value was false, right? Let's just check. Okay, yeah. One second. Okay. Oh, I did not save it. Yeah, sorry. Huh. So the last value was false. So I've just popped it. Okay. And I'm pushing 13 instead of the false value. And when I console log my original array, it should change, right? So it has changed. The first original array was 1, 2, 3, and now we have 1 to 11 and 13. I did not make any changes to the original array. Please be careful. Please see my code. I have not done any change to the original array. I've done some change to the my shallow copy, the copy of the original array. Okay, but it did reflect on the original array. So this is what is shallow copy. Yeah, I've completed what is deep copy and shallow copy for today. I'll just quickly go to what is spread operator also. Okay, what is spread operator? Guys, just give me like 10 minutes. We'll just quickly finish that. Very exciting thing. Okay, very exciting concept. Yeah. So now what is a spread operator? I hope you guys understood what the spelling is. Okay, I'll just create this. I'll just remove this thing. Okay, it's a spread operator. Okay. Now spread operator. Okay, what was a deep copy and a shallow copy? It's a concept. Okay, it's a concept. It's how JavaScript works under the hood. Okay, you might have seen my code. Okay, in index.js. Uh, I have not used any methods here. Okay, for deep copy or shallow copy, I've not used any methods here. Okay, these are not methods. Okay, these are just variables that I've uh, declared just for you guys to understand. Okay, this is not an inbuilt method to see how deep copy or shallow copy works. So be very clear, it's a concept of how JavaScript works under the hood. Okay, deep copy and shallow copy, just if you guys got confused. Okay. um so I was talking about spread operator. Now, spread operator is a feature. Okay, it is a feature that allows you to access content of an iterable object. Now, what is an iterable object? An iterable object is an object or a data structure, that allows to access its content with a for loop. Okay, with a for of loop. You remember the for of loop that we seen yesterday, right? So the for loop, anything that is that can be accessed, the content can be accessed with a for loop. Okay, so that is an iterable object. Okay, simple as that. So array can be an iterable object, right? The string cannot be an iterable object because you cannot access the content of a string, right? I mean, you can, but it's a different concept, right? So an array, you can take the example of an array and an object. So we were able to retrieve the keys, or we were able to retrieve only the values yesterday, only the elements of the arrays, right? So those are called as iterable object. Okay, so when you wanted to access all content in some iterable, so before the spread operator, we used to use the for loop, or and also there is another method called for each also. You can read about it. I will give you a nice blog on that also, or you can just search it, because I don't think I have a specific blog for it. If you have, you guys can search it. Please search it. If you don't find anything, just let me know. I will share it with you guys. Okay, so what is a spread operator? Now it is just a concept. Okay, so it's not necessary that you learn what a spread operator is, but it does, makes it very easy and simple to remember. I'll tell you what the syntax is. It is just simple as this. That's it. This is what a spread operator is. These three dots are just followed by some iterable. Okay, what you want to access. I'll tell you what it is, how you do it. Okay, it is just this much. This is a spread operator. How you can retrieve some elements from the array. Let's see an example. Okay, so const my array. Okay, let's say uh, Mercury. Sorry guys, I'm coming up with very vague examples, but you please get the point. Okay, don't see and don't judge me on the basis of my examples. Yeah. So I've created an array. Okay. It has three elements inside it. Now I have to access all the values inside it. Okay. What we used to do before is we used to do the for loop, right? We used to for loop. You have to take the length of the array. You remember I plus plus, and we used to console log the array. You remember that, right? So instead of that, now what we can just simply do is console.log three dots, right, for the spread operator and uh, my array. Okay, let's see if we get it. We do get it, right? So this is how simply you can do it with a spread operator. Okay, you can. I took an example of uh, an array. I'll just take an example for an object also, just for you guys. I just told you guys, right? It is used for an iterable object. Okay, so whenever you can iterate something, means whenever you can use a for loop on something, you can use a spread operator as well. Just a simple heads up definition of it. Okay, first name, it's a colon, right? I think it's a, yeah, key, right? Key. I'll take my name only, just so that you don't judge me now for taking such vague examples. Last name. Okay. Now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to console log it. Okay, so console.log. Now be very careful. If I want the object, right? If now in spread operator, right, the use a spread operator to access the content of my object variable. Okay, here. So the I'll just do one thing. I'll just do this. I get the why I did this, so that you know it's an object. Okay, you know it's an object, but let's say we do this now. So you see, we get it in an object wise. First name Siddharth, last name Raglani. Okay, this is how you do it with the object. You put in this curly braces for in case of an object. Nothing to put in case of array. You can just directly put in. We can get the values. Okay. Let's see if we remove this thing, what do we get? Okay, let's see if we get an error. We do, because it tells you that found non-callable iterator, which means it is not able to identify it's an iterator, because in an object you have to wrap it around this thing. Okay, you have to wrap it around this thing, or else you will just get an error. Ki, uh, the JavaScript is not able to identify it as an iterable, which means it is not, can it be accessed with a for loop? The JavaScript doesn't, right? So just wrap it around the curly braces. Okay, very important. Okay, so this was one example of how you have to use this thing, uh, the spread operator with the array and object. Jyotsna, do we have time today? Like, I will need like 5 to 7 minutes more.
Yes, so we have
Yeah, yeah, okay.
for like 5 to 10 minutes.
No, no. So the one that I'm already discussing with the spread operator.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so fine. We can.
Yeah, guys, just tolerate me for like next 7 minutes, okay? By 8:45, I think it should be done. I'm just going to take an example of deep copy and shallow copies because we've just completed it today. So I wanted to take the spread operator with the deep and shallow copies, okay? So deep and shallow copies, like this is not true for objects, including iterables. Okay, when you try to copy an object, right, such as an array, you will create a real copy. Now, what will happen instead is that JavaScript will create a new reference for that object. As I said, the shallow copy. So when you copy an object, you only create a reference for it. As a result, like you have two names for that thing, right? That object, right? So this also means if you do something with one object, it will those changes will be referenced on the first object. This is what we had seen. Okay, so let's see what we will be doing here. Let's see. Const my array equals to let's say spread rest and JavaScript. Okay, I've just created an array. Okay, I'll just put it. I'll just assign this to another variable. Okay, so const my shallow copy. Okay. And I'm just assigning this. Okay, okay. I'm just console logging it. Console.log my array. Okay, let's see what we get. Yeah, we get the expected output. Okay, if we just copy this also instead of this. Okay, just doing it a little quick, guys. Okay, we still get the same output. Okay, now if we do my what we can do is my array dot pop. Okay, okay, sorry, I'm console logging my shallow copy only. uh, Console log my. I've just popped something. Okay, now let's see the console.log my shallow copy. It's the same, right? So when you change something in one place, it changes the other also. Okay, so now we'll implement things with the spread operator. Okay, so now what I'm doing here is I'm taking all the contents. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm taking all the contents of my array. So now what I'm doing is I'm not doing a shallow copy, I'll be doing the deep copy. Okay, for you guys first, what I'm doing here is I'm taking the elements of my array. Okay, all the elements, right? You remember the output we used to get this only, right? So I'm just I'm just doing this to my deep copy. Okay, now I'll just console log this part. Okay, it is this, right? Now I'll just console log this part, but instead of shallow copy, it would be deep copy. Okay, right? I'm getting this value. Okay, now let's see what we do is I'll do this again. Okay, now I'll console log, okay, and I'll console log this thing also. Okay, uh, I hope you guys don't get confused. Okay, the first is the my array thing. Okay, the second is the same thing again because it is just defined to this. Then I have popped this last value out of it, and then I'm logging the values. Okay, my array and deep copy. Now let's see. So I had popped it, right? The JavaScript I had popped it, but if you check the deep copy again, the deep copy, you will get the value which is to the first one, which is the first one, right? So you remember the deep copy, right? What happens in the deep copy? You make any changes, right, to the original, nothing will happen to the your copy. Nothing will happen to your copy. But in spread operator, you make any changes to your this thing, right? Any changes to your copy or your original, it will reflect over everywhere, right? So that was it. That was about the spread operator. Okay, that was about spread operator with deep copy. Homework for you guys: you have to do one thing. You have to try one one so what I have done here is I have implemented the deep copy, right, with the spread operator. You have to implement the shallow copy with the deep operator, and see the uh, you will see the outputs. Okay, you will change all the values. You will pop or you will push whatever you want to do. Whatever we have done in our session, right? We inserted some values and etc etc. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. But I want you guys to try the shallow copy with the spread operator. Okay, one thing. And the last topic for today is again with the spread operator only. So it's just a simple one. I'm just not going to take a lot of time. My array one, okay, putting here two and three, okay, and I'll just put this in time also. My array two, okay, and four, five. Now I want to merge these two arrays. Okay, I want to merge these two arrays. What I'll just simply do is const merged array. See the syntax, please, very clearly. I'm just merging the both the arrays. Okay. So what I'll do is here one, two, three, my array one. Okay, and then a comma. Okay, the second value one, two, three, my array two. Okay, just for you guys to see it a little clearly. Okay, I have just used the spread operator and my array one, and then I've just used this. And let's see if it gets merged. Console.log merged array. Okay, let's see if it does get merged, and it does get merged. Okay, so another homework for you guys, what you will do is, so just how I have merged this thing. Okay, I want you guys to merge two object. Okay, two object literals. So how here I have created arrays, two arrays. Okay, you will merge two objects. You remember how you have to merge objects, right? So just give it a try. Okay, yeah, that's it for today. um I really wish I had more time. I would give you guys some more examples on function arguments also. Really good concepts, but sorry guys, like we are running out of time. And yeah, so this was it. I
Yeah.
hope you guys understood what deep and shallow copy is. I hope you guys understood how spread operator works, right? Just very important concepts, very important feature of JavaScript. These things are actually used in React, and many senior developers don't know how to use this. Okay, so just a heads up, I will share some spread operators and some shallow and deep copy documents with you guys by tonight. Just give me like 1 hour or so. I'll share it with you guys. Yeah, that's it. That's it from me today.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
sir, Darshan has a question. Is there any difference between the dictionary and the
Dictionary and the object. So
object?
dictionary in JavaScript, like we don't use much. uh, uh, it, I mean, there is no use of dictionary in objects. Like whenever you get a data, right, whenever you get a data, it's mostly in JSON value only. uh, I mean, you can also create an empty array, and you can just push the dictionary values and so on and so forth. I'm not sure like much of a difference between it. But yeah, I will come up with your answer tomorrow, Jashan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Jashan, I'm not really sure if there are any differences. Uh, if you can just search for it, I mean, you don't get much of dictionary use cases in object in JavaScript, because most of the use cases that you use for dictionary is in Python. In JavaScript, you usually get the JSON object, or the objects that are, just literally key value pairs. So really not sure about your answer. If you give me some time, I can quickly just read onto it and let you know by tomorrow. Or if you want to do it, even you can do it. Yeah,
Yes, Yoshita, sorry for the delay. Actually, today we are out of our time, so we will discuss it tomorrow. We can discuss it tomorrow
yeah,
about the assignment. Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you very much for cooperating us and for such a patience. And thank you so much for sir for the amazing session. Like guys are mentioning, thank you, sir, and
really, I can't
thanks
see the
from all.
comments. I can see the comments. Sorry, guys, I can't
Yeah,
see the
so
comments.
Rohit Atlinge is mentioned with thank you so much, sir, for such an amazing session,
Okay, okay,
and
thank you.
also from others too.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you
guys.
so
Thank
much,
you
sir.
for so much patience, and I hope you guys please read more about spread and deep copy and shallow copy. Like if you want to, if you understood it, then I'm very happy with it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, okay, thank you, guys. Okay, bye bye. Let's
Okay,
start
bye.
for today. We can end the session now.
Yeah.